Where are the parents? Mom and dad, parents, where are you guys? You stand up. Where are you? I want to see the parents. Up there you go. Yay, thank you. Thanks for bringing them. Thanks for bringing them. I expected violins, but we got song and dance. We got the whole thing. Thank you very much. All right. Let me get myself together. Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah, we got it.
I would like to call this meeting to order. Please stand to join us as the Desert Shadows Elementary students lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing as we will be holding a moment of silence. Now we will hold a moment of silence for Kim Brown, PE teacher at Desert Trails and Greyhawk Elementary School. Thank you. Okay, good job, guys. Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Greenberg,
Here.
Mrs. Christensen, Dr. Lim,
Here.
President Pantera,
Here.
Ms. Wani,
Here.
Next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the governing board received the agenda along with backup materials at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have had time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the governing board may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. Any member of the audience who submitted a blue public comment card prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized to speak on that agenda item under items for approval. I'd like to offer the agenda as posted.
Prior to the start of the meeting, no blue public comment cards were received. So for that reason, no items are needing to be removed from the consent agenda. Does any member of the governing board wish to have an item removed from the consent agenda? Well, that's nice. Okay. So no one wants one removed at all? Okay. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda and recommended consent agenda items?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0. Next on the agenda is governing board statements. Would anyone like to go first? Ms. Greenberg.
As I think almost everybody knows, this is Read Across America Week, and I would like a shout out to Liberty, where I had the opportunity to read to the fourth graders, and these were new books for me, which was great. At Liberty, I had the chance to read The Smart Cookie, which was a really lovely story about a cookie who didn't feel that smart or, just kind of run-of-the-mill, and the teacher helped them understand what was unique and what was, something they were really good at. And then yesterday I was it just yesterday? I'm like, the days are coming together. At Indian Bend, and read another book that was new to me called The Magical Yet, which is a really terrific prose book about possibilities, about how you may not know yet where you want to be or what you want to be. So I hope everybody has been having a wonderful reading journey this week. And I just want to thank everybody who's here and keep on reading. Thanks.
Dr. Lim?
Sure. So I'm going to talk about Reading Week as well. I think that might be the theme tonight. I've had two things this week. First, we had a reading night at my children's school, Whispering Winds Academy. As usual, it was just an amazing time to see all our teachers really creative ideas as they hosted different sessions for the students to do, and really how many of those teachers who teach much higher levels accommodated many of our young learners that were there, helping them work through lots of fun activities that really sent home the value of reading and really just reminded us that reading is so important. And so when I was at Indian Ben reading to those classrooms, I selected to read my own book. I've mentioned that I'm dyslexic, and reading out loud has always been my biggest fear. So I selected a book I feel comfortable reading, that I've read more times than I can count. Now, the problem is it's a very popular book right now, Dragons Love Tacos. And so many of the kids had already heard Dragons Love Tacos. But nonetheless, my enthusiastic reading of Dragons Love Tacos was a hit, both with kindergarten and even second grade, to where second grade we had an 8-minute to 10-minute discussion about tacos and what can go in them and why reading is awesome, all geared around tacos. And so it was a really great time to see even the books that we read on a regular basis still bring joy to our children, still bring joy to us when we read books that we read in our childhood. Reading is so valuable. It teaches us so many skills, and it really brings us all together, because for those 15 minutes I was with that classroom, tacos and reading were the best thing in the room. So those moments matter, and it's really important that we see our schools leaning into how important Reading Week is and really celebrating reading here in PV. So many schools have had their reading or literacy night or invited us to read at their schools, and it just reminds us that we all value reading and the skills that come from reading together as a community.
Ms. Wani?
And I too love tacos and dragons, so I can absolutely relate. Although I've not read Dragons Love Tacos, so I'm going to have to get on Amazon and buy that tonight.
I
And
can
then
read it to you if you'd like.
My kids are a little bit older than your kids, so that might be why I kind of missed it, which actually made me reflect very much upon just like a little moment of nostalgia as we had Mrs. Seijen's class and the little teeny tiny violin players who are just so adorable, and they did such a wonderful job. And my daughter's now a senior, and it feels like a million years ago that she was standing there playing that teeny tiny little violin. I also just want to say thank you to the schools for just the wonderful welcome that they gave us and the opportunity to read their classes and to the students. Next year I might actually do dragons and tacos, so thank you for that. And I also just want to give a shout out to the students over at Horizon. I got to watch their performance, the Mamma Mia performance. If you've not had an opportunity to see the musicals that come out of our wonderful collection of high schools, please take an opportunity regardless of whether you have a high school student or not, because they are next level, like absolutely phenomenal. And finally, and I don't know if hopefully we'll probably have an additional shout out to the Night in Paradise Prom Boutique, but if you don't know, PVEA does a phenomenal, stellar, amazing job of putting this fabulous event together for our students. If you have dresses, if you have hangers, if you have shoes, please donate them. If you like to shop like I do and you need an excuse to shop, you can go to some of our awesome thrift stores in the area and pick up some really phenomenal, gorgeous dresses and then bring them and donate, which is super fun. So just thank you to PVA for this wonderful, awesome community event that you provide for our students every year. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I, too, was at Indian Ben reading. I took the book to a bunch of first graders over there. The book is They All Saw a Cat. It was a really great way of introducing how perspective changes based on who you are and what circumstances you are in. Like a cat looks different from a bird flying in the sky compared to a fish in a fishbowl, that kind of thing. And you know it's a success when you're done reading and you get up and somebody just comes up and gives you a hug. Okay, oh, I must have done good. I got a hug. And it's the first love that students have for reading comes when they're read to by a parent, somebody they trust, because they've got this older person's complete attention, and it's a one-on-one experience, or even in the classroom, it seems like a one-on-one experience to them when they're very young. The best way to get someone to start loving to read is to read to them and have interactions with that reading. I was also at Pinnacle High School, part of their DECA program. They were working on their competition. They're gearing up to go to the state competition, and it's really fascinating what they do. It's almost like speed dating of business, okay? Speed dating in Shark Tank, where all these students have to take these business propositions and they have to sell it to the person that they're trying to impress. In this case, there are other professionals in the business field. I've got some notes here about what they have to do just to prepare. Yeah, they have to have a 10 to 20 page business plan, okay, for their marketing campaign. Then they have a 10-page integrated market display, 20-page operational and research paper, and they have to have real creative solutions for life as it impacts the community, the life in the community. It's a lot of work. It's not just standing up there and being a salesman, making a pitch. You have to have the background that goes with it. Cheryl Shea does a great job there. Last year, I think they had 3 people that went to nationals. Okay, I actually know how many they go this year, but I'm not going to steal their thunder. I'll let them talk about that later. I was also at North Canyon. They have the Civics SEAL program there. Well, they have a lot of places, but I was at North Canyon where I was asked to sit in as an elected official and have a conversation with these students. They could ask anything they wanted. They were very curious about how to get elected, what it means to be elected. They were very surprised that board members weren't paid. Okay, I'll tell you right now. Some of the questions are very intriguing. One that really I still think about, one student asked me, well, what good is civics going to do us when we get out of high school? I said, well, civics is everything. It's how we live. Right now, the way I'm talking to you and the way you're sitting politely, that's civics, okay? Knowing how the structure of our society works and the laws and what the consequences for them. And it kind of made some light bulbs go on for them, I hope. A great program. Mr. Check, he was very helpful with helping me here and interpret what students were telling me. It's a great thing. And one last step as one last comment. I too recommend you participate in the prom boutique. I actually brought something today. I've got it right here. Can somebody come and get this for me? This is my donation. It doesn't fit me anymore, so I thought. Thank you. You're welcome. Appreciate it. Really, if you can, help out with that program. I've been involved with this since the beginning, and it's fantastic. And I think I've talked myself. Oh, student voice I was at too, by the way. So were the rest of these people, but I'm the only one to mention it. Well, with a little reminder, yeah. That's where we met at, it's Pinnacle again? No, Horizon. I've been to all these schools, Horizon. And there we have students come from all the high schools. And this was the second session, I believe, right? Third? I missed one. It's my second. Everybody else is third. And we're talking about how do we keep students in the district? How do we get students from outside the district? What do we do to improve enrollment? And these kids have some fantastic ideas about not just pie in the sky things, but nuts and bolts things, what we can do in this district. And we have a lot of ideas now from those sessions, and we're going to be applying them as we go. Anybody else want to talk about PV Voice since, okay. Thank you for that reminder, Mrs. Greenberg. Having said just about all I can say, I'm going to turn it over to next on the agenda is awards and recognitions.
President Pantera and the Governing Board, I'd invite you down to the front for tonight's awards and recognitions.
Good evening, President Pantera, Governing Board members, Dr. Corson, members of Cabinet, and attendees both in person and virtual. Tonight we have 3 recognitions to share with you. This evening we'll be inviting our honorees to the front of the room for recognition and photo. So when I say your name, please come to the front of the room. Our first honoree this evening was part of the Arizona Association for Pupil Transportation, AAPT Road EO event that took place last month. This event features bus drivers from around the state and a fun-filled day of skilled driving and rigorous competition. PV Schools drivers earned several honors, including tonight's honoree, who placed at the competition and was also named Rookie of the Year. Please help me welcome from the Transportation Department, Zachary Jennings. Our next recognition is the Paradise Valley Education Support Professional of the Month. Leellen Jordan is here tonight to make the presentation.
Good evening, President Pantera, members of the board, Dr. Corson, cabinet, and guests. It is an honor to stand before you tonight to recognize an individual who embodies the heart and soul of our school community. This month, we are proud to celebrate Nina Ryan as our Education Support Professional of the Month. They say that a school is made of bricks and mortar, but its spirit is defined by the people inside. Nina is a shining example of that spirit. Whether she is walking into a classroom to deliver a forgotten sweater or a misplaced lunchbox, she does so with more than just efficiency. She does so with a smile that brightens the room and a kindness that reassures our students they are cared for. Nina's impact on Quail Run cannot be measured simply by the tasks she completes. It is measured in the lives she makes better every single day. She possesses a rare level of empathy. When she sees a student in need, she doesn't just notice, she acts. She is always willing to go the extra mile, ensuring that every child and teacher she encounters feels supported and valued. Quail Run simply wouldn't be the school it is without Nina's unwavering care. She is a vital pillar of our campus, and we are incredibly lucky to have her. Please join me in congratulating Nina Ryan on this well-deserved recognition.
Last but certainly not least is the the Administrators Celebrated for Excellence and Support ACES Award. This quarterly recognition highlights administrators in PV for their accomplishments. Presenting this award this evening is Mrs. Shelley Strophus, President of PV Principals.
Good evening, President Pantera, governing board members, Superintendent Corson, and guests. It is my great honor to stand before you tonight representing an incredible group of leaders, the principals and assistant principals of PV schools. We would like to recognize one of our leaders for our quarterly ACES Award, Administrators Celebrated for Excellence and Support. Tonight we are recognizing Mr. Chad Cottle for this quarter's ACES Award. Chad is a veteran principal that continues to bring energy, passion, and commitment to his daily work at Sky Crossing. He is committed to providing the best possible environment for teaching and learning to all the students and teachers at his school. In fact, Mr. Cottle has been known to go to great lengths, including braving the elements, to support and encourage his students' academic growth and excellence. And when they achieve their goals, he's not afraid to shout it from the rooftop. If you were unaware, he spent the night in the fall on top of the school because his students achieved their goals. We thank Mr. Cottle for his commitment to his students, the journey of excellence, and we thank him for choosing PV Schools as his place to make an impact. Congratulations, Mr. Cottle.
And that, President Pantera, concludes this evening's awards and recognitions.
Next on the agenda is superintendent comments. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera. In PV schools, we engage, inspire, and nurture students through high-quality instruction, meaningful educational opportunities, and dynamic learning experiences. And one of those opportunities is our high school summer school program. Hosted at Paradise Valley High School, sessions run May 26th through July 2nd and are available to current and incoming high school students. Whether students want to fast-track graduation, explore a new subject, or close learning gaps through accelerated coursework, summer school offers the flexibility and support needed to stay on track and succeed. If high school summer school is the right fit for your child, registration is now open. Visit pbschools.net and explore our programs page to learn more. And as mentioned many times this evening, with prom season quickly approaching, we're proud to announce that PBA is hosting its annual Prom Boutique, which provides high school students with free formal wear, accessories, gift cards, and more. And now a new dress from President Pantera. This event ensures every student can attend prom in style without the burden of cost. High school students planning to attend prom can shop for formal wear at Sweetwater Community School on the following dates: March 28th, April 6th, April 13th, and the 25th. All students must bring their PV Schools issued student ID to enter the shopping event. And join PV Schools at the annual Sights, Sounds, and Steamposium event on March 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Shadow Mountain High School. That's coming up this Saturday. This event celebrates student creativity and achievement across the district. This event features the Steamposium, the K-6 Gifted Showcase, a K-12 Visual Arts Showcase, live performances from band, strings, and chorus, hands-on activities, and food trucks for a fun, family-friendly experience. Please join us again March 7th, 9 to 2 at Shadow Mountain High School. And thanks to the dedication and hard work of our facilities and construction team, PV Schools was awarded more than $300,000 in rebates from APS for energy efficiency improvements completed in 2025. These efforts, including lighting upgrades and HVAC improvements, reflect our ongoing commitment to sustainability and responsible stewardship of district resources. And that, President Pantera, concludes my comments for this evening.
Next on the agenda is items for approval G1, consideration and approval of proposed community education program fee increase. I'll turn it over to Dr. Lindsay.
Thank you. Good evening, President Pantera, members of the board, Superintendent Corson, cabinet, and guests. This evening we are presenting the third read of the proposed FY27 Community Ed rate adjustments, reflecting feedback from the February 19th Governing Board study session. This proposal includes a 15% rate adjustment across key programs, the removal of Community Ed's $1 million custodial contribution, and updates to select program fees. We also share the projected financial impact of expanding discounts and outline next steps. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Wilcox as she and Mrs. Berrigan will present the information. And thank you both for all your hard work. Thank you.
Good evening, President Pantera, Governing Board, Dr. Corson, Cabinet, and guests. Tonight, I am bringing to you the third read of a proposal regarding community ed rates and fees. I want to thank all of you for your thoughtful conversation and dialogue. You have consistently shown your support for early childhood, for our preschool programs, for providing care for our families and the options that we serve. And I want to thank you for the support that you show to our programs and to our families, and I really appreciate the work you've done with us. We have taken into consideration all that we have discussed together and appreciate the feedback at the study session as well. Our proposal does outline an increase to be applied across our programs. Additionally, you will see information regarding the discount options in child care programs. Additionally, I am returning with the review of fees associated with enrichment, summer school, and our non-school day camps.
Thank you, Ms. Wilcox and Governing Board and Dr. Corson. The next couple slides are really just review from the study session that we presented. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, didn't have them memorized yet. This is a recap of what fiscal year 27 the estimate would look like if we did no price increase, and that would have resulted in a $502,000 deficit, which would have necessitated some reduction of programs. We estimated that being 6 mascot programs and 8 preschool programs, if you remember that from last time. It would also not allow for the contribution of the $1 million towards the custodial costs that we have been able to do in the past. And if you'll go ahead and click for me, Ms. Wilcox, thank you. So moving forward with the 15% rate increase based off of the discussion from the governing board in the study session, this slide is also from that, and that would leave us in a profit of $585,000, not quite towards the 10% profit margin that we are aiming for, but it's at a little over 6% of that profit margin. It would not, again, allow us to contribute the $1 million towards custodial, though. It would just be that $585,000 profit margin, and we'd work in future years for additional increases to get us back to that spot. Excuse me. So just as a reminder, the $585,000 is about a 6% of the profit margin. Historically, we've aimed for 10%. Most districts are in the 5 to 15% range for that. And just to make it clear, and maybe it is, but profit margins are put in place for a few reasons. That's to ensure that the program is self-sustaining. Community education programs need to be self-sustaining for legal and statutory compliance. Also, we want to have a little bit of a reserve in there in case there's fluctuations in enrollment or additional discounts that may be offered and things of that nature. It also allows us to reinvest in the program with other supplies and program improvement in the future, and it provides us our financial stability and some risk protection as well. So just as a note, that custodial support gap for fiscal year 27, we normally contribute $1 million. We would not be doing that. That's still part of the budget reductions that would need to be made within the bargaining group, and we were actually working on that today.
And just a review of those recommendations, the rates are listed again for the child development centers. Following that, our proposal for pre-K, and following that, our proposal for mascot. Again, this now is with a 15% increase, and that's taking the feedback that we received from you all as a board. I just wanted to provide an update of where we're at this point. Also, currently we are beginning to accept contracts. It's quite a lengthy process. We have over 2,000 contracts that come into us. We strive to do this as early as possible. It gives parents peace of mind knowing that child care has been secured for the year. We worked hard over the past several years to do that more quickly so that families know earlier of their acceptance into the programs. We respond to the needs of each community, and we strive to provide a service that matches the community demand. We talked about in the study session supply and demand, and it certainly is a model that we have to follow in community ed. So when the demand shifts, we shift with it, and we've worked hard to do that over the past many years. At this point in the registration process, we are assessing where the demand is, where the need is, and we're working to meet those needs, and we shift as needed. We were asked also to consider discounts to bring to the board, and so we have considered some options, but I wanted to share with you that currently 340 families are receiving what we call a sibling discount, And the cost to us in our programs is approximately $150,000 a year. A board member asked us also to examine the possibility of providing a discount for those families who may have a pre-K student and also participate in mascot club. So this would be separate from a sibling discount. It would be just maybe a single or an individual student in a family who might be enrolled in two programs simultaneously. The concern was that families who are enrolled in our child care programs, our child development centers, Little Cubs and Little Pioneers, that they are paying more overall when they move to pre-K and mascot. So even though the hours are similar, mascot is an hour longer, and pre-K program does carry additional costs, which I know we had shared also, because those classes are taught by certified teachers. So while the district does not currently offer a discount for those students enrolled in both pre-K and mascot at this time, based on our analysis, implementing such a discount would be an additional $15,000 approximately a year for community ed to absorb. If the sibling discount was expanded, in other words, right now we provide a sibling discount in the mascot program. If that was expanded to reach into the other programs, that would cost approximately an additional $50,000 annually. So as the board considers these options, it's going to be important just to weigh the potential value of expanding both the sibling discount or an additional pre-K mascot discount against the additional financial impact and the responsibilities of the financial responsibility to maintain long-term sustainability in community education, particularly as operational costs continue to rise. If both of these discounts were implemented, the combined estimated impact would be a reduction in revenue of about $65,000 a year. So for next steps, we want to research the idea that came up in the governing board's study session as well, of a differentiated fee structure between sites. This would require more in-depth stakeholder engagement with families and site leaders, a careful review of the potential benefits and drawbacks, and an examination of whether or not other educational systems or there are comparable models anywhere else. It would also be important to analyze possible unintended consequences, such as a shift in enrollment between sites, perceptions of inequality, administrative complexity, and financial instability before we would want to come back with any type of a formal recommendation. We'll also continue to explore external early childhood pre-K partnerships, continue to add to our website information about the curriculum and the early learning standards that we use, and then communicate fees to families in all of our programs. So our initial proposal was approximately 30% across the board, which was based on the premise of increasing 10% annually over a 3-year period. The feedback from the board was that the original recommendation was just too financially impactful for families at this time, and that we should phase that in over time. So we are moving forward with a proposal to come back to the board next fall with an updated financial picture and possible recommendation for fee increases at that time. We'll ensure that you all receive information well in advance of any any community ed program enrollment for the 27-28 school year. And then previously, we also had brought to you the review of the non-school day camp fees that would be increased, aligning with our recommendation for the mascot fees, an enrichment proposal with the one-time fee per class, and then finally an increase in high school summer school fees, which would begin in the summer of 2027. And that's just due to the manner in which our fiscal year crosses for those high school students. We have 2 sessions and we cross fiscal years, so we're looking ahead with that. So a summary of the recommendations: we're recommending 15% increase across all community ed programs, as well as the fees on the additional slide. And as part of this discussion, the governing board may consider other discounts. However, it's important to note that this option would reduce projected revenue and create an additional financial impact for the district. Once again, I want to thank you for all of your time and your feedback. You've guided us quite nicely, and I'll take any questions at this time.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the proposed community education program fee increase as presented?
So moved.
Okay, board members wishing to make questions, discussions, etc.? Anyone? Okay, then. Yes, okay, go ahead, Dr. Lim.
Yeah, so I guess I just want to clarify again, really, as we're looking at the loss that is going to come in 2027, really, how long have we known community ed would end up in such a loss?
Dr. Lim, are you referring to the loss on the no price increase page?
Yes.
We didn't know that that would be a factor. We didn't know that the board would consider a no price increase. We assumed that there would be an increase moving forward, so we planned accordingly with that.
Let me rephrase my question. So how long have we known in advance that we were going to need to increase prices for our community ed? How far in advance have we really known that the community ed was really pulling out of a pot of money that wasn't fully replenishing? Just to get...
So I think this was a question from the study session, if I remember correctly. I don't know the exact time frame, but probably at least a year and a half. We can project where things are moving forward, what our revenues and expenditures are going to be based off of history. So we knew that there would need to be a price increase for this year.
Great. I think I just want to comment on that like, while it is coming to us now, and it did come to us a few months ago, like, we have always been a district that's been very proactive in these spaces, so I would just love to see us be a little bit more proactive together as a cabinet and a governing board in really looking at these and seeing these coming ahead of time so we can really make proactive decisions, because this will impact our families even if it is a smaller percentage, and it is very hard to vote on this today, and I know the impact that this is going to have and the need for it, but it is a very hard vote today. Just looking overall, I do, while at it, do have a couple questions on the discount, just to expand a little further on that. So when looking at, say, the discount of coupling preschool and mascot for a discount, are we factoring in the fact that our Little Cubs and Little Pioneers, they have lots more meals, they may have less time, but there's a lot more that goes into those particular programs that don't actually come in. So I pack my daughter's breakfast, I pack my daughter's lunch. These are things that are not provided once they transition to gifted or Montessori or Little Scholars. So are we factoring that in, that it's actually costing a parent more on top of the fees as we're doing that, as they transition from Little Cubs into another program?
We are aware of the impact that it has for families. We do find, honestly, that a lot of our families do pack their meals for their children even when they're younger because of food specificity, you know, that each child might have. We try very hard to keep the costs down in our Child Development Center, and we really are trying, we're just working so hard to really come in at the lowest rate we can for families, even as they move into pre-K. So we're really mindful of we're not trying to do anything that is hard on the families, and just trying to support them. And we recognize fees change, that some of the costs that are associated with them when they're younger are different as they grow older, and we're buying snacks and we're buying other things at pre-K, and those costs are quite different sometimes than some of the others. So it's not always a real easy apple-to-apple comparison, but we are very sensitive to the costs that are being applied for our families.
Great. I guess that gives me the space where I really do, and if we want to discuss the discounts, I'm really appreciative to see this, knowing that eventually you transition out of one program into another, and to see the discounts actually cross the breadth of our community education programs would I think be really beneficial to our families. While I see it as we are losing revenue, if we're going to be having this conversation again about increasing fees next year, to be able to offer a discount this time, knowing that we're also going to tell people we potentially have to increase fees again the following year, it feels like a great add to have that discount come in this year across our programs, and especially across something like our preschool and our mascot combo kiddos, that would make this process of increasing fees by 15, and who knows what it'll be next time, a little easier on our families as they transition into the space, especially when often people in that age group that are having kids are having multiple young kids at the same time. So they may have 2, sometimes 3 in our programs all at the same time, and that's a huge fee even for 2 working parents. So we can discuss it if we feel we need to discuss it, but I would love to see this move forward with a discount included as part of the vote. I know it's not proposed in that way now, so I don't know what needs to happen if we were to think about that.
So right now, the 15% doesn't have the discount portion, correct? So how would that impact, would we be able to do that? Would we be losing too much money to make it legal?
Well, I don't know about the legality, and maybe Ms. Berrigan can speak to that, but it would be, we know to anticipate a loss of another $65,000 a year. That would be the cost of that, and certainly the board's decision if that.
I mean, this wouldn't cause a deficit, like.
No, but the, President Pantera, sorry, I'm on the wrong page. The $585,000 is the anticipated profit right now, so it reduced that by $65,000, so bring us down even further. And what I would just say is, in doing so, in order to get to where we want to get moving forward, increases would need to be that much more in future years to be able to gain that back. Or I suppose there's other considerations as well. If $65,000 is fairly significant for the program, that might mean the closure of 1 or 2 programs as well to be able to maintain a profit margin at $585,000.
Well, thanks for answering that as best you could. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Other comments?
I mean, do we know how many students or how many families could potentially benefit from that kind of a discount? In other words, how many families meet that criteria?
So, yes, currently we have, so I'm going to just talk pre-K and mascot, okay? Currently, we have 105 children who are in both pre-K and mascot. Of those, 67 of those, so 67 out of 105, are already receiving a 15% sibling discount. And of that 105, 9 of those are receiving the 20% employee discount. So it would be 29 families, of course, this is our current enrollment. It would be 29 families that this would be impacting.
Okay.
At this time.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, I don't know the answer to this, but one consideration for me when we are having this specific sort of sub-conversation of the larger conversation about discounts, right, is I do wonder, and I don't, this is not for anyone to answer, right, I'm just sharing, right, with the rate increase, let's then just say for those 29 families, that we're talking about the 15%, and also with us being transparent about the fact that this is not a one-time rate increase, where we anticipate there will be another one next year. I guess something to maybe think about is, are we going to lose like some of these families because they know it's not sustainable for them? That's just something that I think is worth, at least considering and thinking about. Another consideration, I think, is what I wouldn't want to do is offer a discount and then take away the discount. right? So I would be kind of just worried about setting a precedent for that, and then that's like a price increase potentially again next year, and then also this isn't sustainable, we actually really can, and we're going to take it away, I think. So if we are going to consider, expanding the discount, we better be really sure, I think, that we feel good about maintaining that, right? I'm just talking out loud. And just a sort of general question, regardless of what we end up deciding tonight, I would just ask that we, and I'm sure you would be doing this anyway, we take a really good look at our enrollment numbers and try to, discern anything that we can, right? How many families are we potentially going to lose, even just with the 15% increase? And just, I know we can't necessarily say unequivocally 100% it's because of the rate increase, but if we see a large number, I think that tells us something. And if it's from certain communities or certain sites, and maybe that can help inform how we approach, right, the next sort of phase of this. Because I don't know, I mean, I think it is certainly a possibility, and I recognize we're in a tough spot. I don't see it as an option to not do a price increase at this point, but it is also maybe possible that, right, the price increase results in a net, just a big loss of families and students, which also is going to have, a detrimental impact on how this program runs next year. So these are just, there's no perfect answer, obviously, and I just also want to say that I appreciate very much you taking the feedback, that we did provide and coming back to us with, maybe a little bit more of a palatable option than the last one. And I know it's not easy, and I just thank you for hearing that.
Yeah, I think that word sustainability concerns me when the thought is that if we lose this additional 65,000, we're talking about potentially closing one of the programs. And then that, it's kind of a rock and a hard place. Do we potentially close the program? Do we potentially lose some families? And right now it's a guess. None of that could come to pass, and all of that could come to pass. But I think, I do want to echo what Ms. Wani said. I appreciate the opportunities we've had to discuss this, quite a bit and get more information and really look at what's going on. I think the reality is we're going to have to continue to really look at what's going on. Obviously, you've been doing it year in, year out. But, what community ed offers now is far different than what community offered 10 years ago, offered 20 years ago, et cetera, and we're going to keep evolving. And unfortunately, with inflation, with required, increases to minimum wage, with everything that we have to go against, we have to respond to that with some kind of increase. So I appreciate that we've come to, I think, a good middle ground from where we were that at least keeps the program in the black as opposed to the red. I would hesitate at this moment to add an additional discount. I think it could, we can talk about it. I don't think any family is going to be upset if we, come back in a little while and go, oh, maybe we can sustain that. Maybe we can add that in. Nobody's going to be upset if we give them money back. So that may be, I think, a separate discussion than what we're looking at tonight. Because right now, I would not be able to support the additional discount, I think. And as Ms. Wani said, just to potentially take it away next year doesn't feel good. So.
Dr. Lim?
I think where I'm at, if we don't move forward with the discount, knowing that some of our families are going to be paying more as they move to preschool, is to really create that open dialogue that as they leave, we have conversations with them and try and take steps to try and keep them in our district. Because if we lose them in preschool, we're not going to get them back. Maybe we might in middle school or high school, but they might make a different decision in elementary school, and we may never get them at all. So I think if we potentially lose any of these 29 families for that, I think that's a really important lesson for us. And we, as the leaders in this space, need to work with those families and do everything we can to help support them and keep them here, as well as engage with staff members that may end up pulling their kids from programs or leaving their jobs here, working with trying to find the spaces, because these are the community members reaching out to me. These are the people most worried about these increases. There are staff that can't afford these new fees. There are parents with multiple kids that just can't sustain this any longer without having a parent stay home who doesn't want to give up their career to do that. And so I think we need to have a very open dialogue that if we do go forward with this without a discount, that one, we continue to have that conversation about the discount, because I think it's only fair we start to do it collectively across the program, but that we are doing those one-on-one conversations if we do lose families or even single students from one program to another, to make sure we can do everything in our power to retain them, because we know this isn't easy on them because they've already signed up and they're now getting a sticker shock of the new price. So having that open dialogue, creating a space for them to connect with us, not via email, but actually call and talk to a person and have those conversations, I think will be invaluable to retain these families, because we don't want to lose them, because we want them in kindergarten. We want them to join our amazing programs. If we lose them in preschool, we lose them potentially forever. So.
And Dr. Lim, you have my commitment that at all of you as a board. I mean, your thoughtful dialogue has been really important, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to parents. And if that is something that we begin to see, or if I hear of a story, I am happy to hear people's story and to see how we can help to navigate, because we feel the same in community ed. We are starting these children on a path, and our thought, if they start here, they can go anywhere. We want to keep them with us, and we want to keep them in PV. And so I'm committed to doing exactly what you're asking.
Thank you for that.
Mrs. Wanning?
I'm sorry, I was taking notes, but my notes were not so good, and so now I need to ask another question when you were talking before. So 29 families, do we know, maybe you said, but because I circled a number, but maybe I was thinking something else. Of those 29 families, do we know how many of them are staff?
They would not be staff.
No, okay.
Staff has already received a discount. And
Okay.
of those, 9 of them are staff and already receiving a separate discount.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I too appreciate all the effort you put into this and how you've listened to the board and fine-tuned this to try and make this painful situation as least painful as possible, yet meet our financial responsibilities here in this. I like the fact that not only are we looking forward at talking about discounts, but other revenues. You're talking about trying to get other preschool partnerships and such to help. I know you're dedicated to that. I really appreciate that dedication and your professionalism with this. Okay? All right then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0. Next on the agenda is items for approval G2, consideration and approval of resolution number 597, a memorandum of understanding between Paradise Valley Unified School District and Phoenix Children's Chorus. I will turn this over to Dr. Lindsay.
Good evening. Thank you again, President Pantera, members of the board, Dr. Corson, cabinet, and guests. On behalf of Ms. Copen, this is an MOU between PV Schools and the Phoenix Children's Chorus for your consideration. This partnership would expand high-quality choral opportunities for our students through advanced performance experiences, on-campus clinics led by PCC artists, and support for the District Honor Choir Festival. This agreement also provides up to $5,000 in scholarships for PV school students and professional learning opportunities for our music educators, including workshops, mentorship, and access to PCC instructional resources. In exchange, the district would provide limited facility access for their rehearsals, camps, and performances. And this cost-effective partnership supports expanded art opportunities for students and strengthens our district music programs. Our Fine Arts Director, Allie Ray, and I are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve resolution number 597, memorandum of understanding between Perrys Valley Unified School District and Phoenix Children's Chorus as presented?
So moved.
Any board members wishing to make a comment or have questions?
I just want to say this is awesome. Thank you.
I have a question. Now, this is the Phoenix, this partnership. They're only going to work with PV students in our district?
So it is open to anyone that would like to join, but this is giving our students an opportunity to not to have to travel down to downtown Phoenix, plus it's half the cost of their Phoenix programs, and they have the scholarships. But it is open to anyone that auditions for the program.
So it could be a charter school kid could participate in this?
It could.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't like that, by the way, but that's not your problem. Okay, thank you. Dr. Lim.
Can you clarify a little bit how because I know we have many choir programs in our district, how our existing choir teachers are going to benefit from this relationship?
Sure. So there's several ways. So the first way is that this brings honor choir back to our district, and we do not have to pay the cost of clinicians or do any of the organization piece. The choir teachers that I did talk to about, like, if they knew about this organization, said that they had seen them run it at other venues and said that it was very well done. This also provides our choir teachers training, so we'll have them actually come out and they'll bring clinicians, they'll bring other people that are experts in the field to do some professional development with our teachers. And they also offer mentorship to our teachers if they're interested, as well as like a discounted summer program if they would like to be a part of it. So there's a lot of ways. We can also use their music library, which they have like a ton of different songs that the teachers can check out.
So follow-up question to that. So some of our programs, our teachers aren't teaching choir, so this might be an opportunity for them to learn the skills to feel comfortable enough to maybe start a choir at their campus?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Mrs. Greenberg?
So this MOU is, at this point, 1 year. Is it renewable?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Any other comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is items for approval G5, acceptance of gifts and donations. And I've got my list right here. This time I would like to thank all our donors and call out a few of our generous donors. I have a list right here. For example, we got at Campbell Elementary School, $604 total from La Casa de Cristo. We've got Desert Shadows, from Desert Shadows PTA, $3,446. Well, Echo Mountain Intermediate School, from Dorito Partners, Dorito, not Doritos, that's not the same thing. $1,000 for their Rewards for Students program over there. Mountain Trails Middle School, from Ace Hardware at Anthem, $1,169.45. That's basically paint donations for upcoming school projects. Okay. Here we've got at Pinnacle Peak Preparatory School, from the Pinnacle Peak Preparatory School PTO. That's like a tongue twister, isn't it? A total of $4,361 for orchestra travel trip costs, Leader in Me character education program. Very excited about that. At Shadow Mountain High School, we've got Guitar Center Foundation, $3,500 for various items of recording performance. The Shadow Mountain Red Carpet Boosters donated money at several locations in the amount of $4,920. And there's one more. Oh, Sky Crossing Elementary School, from Sky Crossing PTO, $2,000. That's just for their site discretionary fund. I got it out. So thank you again, people, those donors and the many more. And this is the kind of thing the community keeps the school going. That fits in all those nicks and crannies of things we can't quite get. And we're very appreciative of that. Again, do I have a motion to accept the gifts and donations as presented?
So moved.
Any board member wish to make a comment? All right, then, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes 4-0. We didn't do that. Oops. Next on the agenda is call to the public. Please turn your attention to the video monitors for the next section.
Call to the Public is about to convene. This portion of today's meeting allows the public the opportunity to address the governing board. Although state law does not require that the governing board hold a call to the public, the Paradise Valley Unified School District and its board have chosen to do so because we believe it's important to hear about concerns and issues from our community. While Call to the Public is not designed to be a discussion, the board is here to listen. Due to Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot respond to, discuss, or take any action on items brought up during this time. However, staff members may be directed to get back to you and address individual concerns. As a reminder, the point of this and every board meeting is to accomplish the business at hand, and to be able to do so in an open and collaborative way. All in attendance are expected to observe meeting rules, as well as rules of politeness and decorum, so that we may serve as an example to our students that issues can be discussed in a respectful and civil manner.
Tonight we have 4 people who have submitted comment cards prior to the start of the meeting. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for remarks. As a reminder, we ask that you please direct your comments to the board. Please state your first and last name when you come to the podium. Our first speaker is Stacy Harkender. Sorry. And the next will be Heather Schmidt.
Hello, members of the board. I'm here because my child has been telling the adults in the district for years that she does not feel safe at school. And the adults responsible for protecting her have chosen not to listen. It is a choice. At Whispering Wind Academy, more than 10 staff members have repeatedly ignored my daughter's desperate statements that she feels unsafe, and repeatedly just look at her and tell her her feelings of unsafeness are not real. They just tell her she is safe. Her words are minimized, dismissed, and ignored. When a child feels that they're unsafe and the adults responsible refuse to listen, this is not a misunderstanding, this is an institutional failure. My daughter is neurodivergent. Neurodivergent children often communicate distress long before their bodies actually learn language to identify it. This starts very early, and only us parents can report this to you. They aren't going to be saying it, but their body will show it. There will be school avoidance, and we will take our children to the doctors. They may even be diagnosed as chronically ill. The doctors might even say there's nothing wrong, but there is something wrong. My child is followed by multiple specialists at Phoenix Children's. She has multiple documented disabilities, chronic health forms for the last 4 years, and she's not offered any academic support. The work is just sent home. She can't do the work without the instruction. That's not fair. Our family collects detailed data, and her doctors can't understand the data about what's happening in her body when she's in an unsafe situation continuously in her school environment. These symptoms are confounded, the data becomes distorted, and it becomes hard to distinguish illness from environmental stress. For a chronically ill child, it can be the difference between treatment, not just academic success. For children that aren't chronically ill, the misrepresentation and the dangerous labels, labeling a parent abusive or a child suicidal. Like I mentioned last month, this is exactly what happened here. My daughter was subjected to suicide assessments that were completely unwarranted and developmentally inappropriate. She has been introduced to idealizations. It is not support, it's institutional harm. At the same time, the school has targeted us at home, the one place she feels safe. Our home is the place that she has a thriving homeschool environment, strong educational support, yet the district repeatedly responds by unsubstantiated child protective service reports. Meanwhile, turning our safe haven into a battleground. We can't sleep at night. We don't feel like going to school. And meanwhile, the school marks every day that she's not there, that she is actually receiving the best support at home as deprivation, and then turns around and uses it as a reason to deny her supports on her IEP. They continue to ignore her emotional distress. Most recently, the 3rd and 4th grade teacher, who's described as part of a dream team, actually stuck her hands in my child's pant pockets with no consent, no parental contact, and there was no immediate danger posed to anyone. Though they did this posed immediate danger to my child and her mental health and well-being. This is not safety. Families are leaving your public schools across the state because their children don't feel safe. As I already said, if a child continues to ask for someone to address that they're not safe, the adults in charge that refuse are choosing to. This is no longer a question of whether the child is safe, it's a question of whether the system is safe. You guys are not protecting children, you're protecting an institution.
Thank you for
You're not
sharing your time.
serving the children in our community. You're serving yourself.
Thank you.
Not all of you, I appreciate those of you who are actively serving. Please get back to me, Amanda Lynn, as to the rationale for not allowing my daughter to
Thank you very much for your time here. Thank you. Next is Heather Schmidt, followed by Dr. Kuhl.
Good evening, President Pantera, Dr. Corson, Governing Board, and Cabinet. My name is Heather Schmidt. I am here as the proud president of the Paradise Valley Education Association, and tonight, because I didn't get to give an award because our friend was out sick, and I will recognize them next month, tonight I have a little bit of a different message. I'm in 3 little parts here. Thank you, Dr. Corson. Although I am sure that you've done the math, but I wanted to point out that after 157 days of you as our acting superintendent, I am very grateful to have you in this role moving forward, and officially recognize you as our superintendent. I firmly believe that the uncertainties are fully behind us, and that the collaborative spirit and open communication that you have shown me specifically over the last 5.5 months will continue to be the norm. To our governing board, thank you for making a decision that ensures that we, as a unified school district, continue looking forward. I don't say this easily, but I am so very confident that you have made the right decision for the staff, students, and families of this community. And to the cabinet. I've had the privilege of working with all of you during this time of transition, and the thing that stuck out to me is how you all banded together. I saw the 5 of you demonstrate collaboration that is part of the PV way, and I have every confidence that we will all continue to work together, all stakeholder groups, to find the right person to join all of you as the new Assistant Superintendent for Secondary Leadership. Forward, collaboration, and communication, and I think we can do all 3 of those things together. Thank you all.
Next, we have Dr. Kuhl, followed by Rosemary Jacob.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening. I'm here to formally continue my call for a district investigation into the misconduct and professional negligence of Martha Maynard. I first raised these concerns at the last board meeting on February 12th, and despite that warning, the administration's continued failure to follow safety protocols has now culminated in a life-threatening event. Martha Maynard has proved she is a direct danger and a legal liability to this district. The February 13 poisoning of my child was just 1 day after my last address to this board. Another student poisoned my son by inducing him to ingest hand sanitizer while under school supervision. This was a physical assault involving a toxic substance. Staff were notified immediately, yet parents were never called. The inaction was so egregious, a police report has been filed, and the parent of the other student involved has verified the event. Despite the severity, Martha Maynard reportedly waited until the following day to begin an investigation. When an administrator ignores a poisoning and fails to notify parents, they are a danger to the students and their care. This board recently set a clear precedent by unanimously terminating the former superintendent for unprofessional conduct and a lack of truthfulness. I'm asking you to uphold that same exact standard today. If being untruthful during an investigation and creating a hostile environment with grounds for termination and removal on February 10th, those same standards must apply to Martha Maynard now, especially when her actions involve the physical endangerment of a child. Instead of taking accountability, Martha Mader has engaged in retaliation. She has imposed communication restrictions to stifle my advocacy, citing a December 8th conduct letter. However, her evidence for these restrictions relies on events that occurred after that letter was already issued. This is a bad faith attempt to silence the parents for pointing out safety lapses that required law enforcement involvement. Principal Maynard's actions shows blatant disregard for PVUSD policies JK, KFA, and ACA. I am requesting a formal district review of this poisoning incident, the police reports, and the legitimacy of the December 8th directive. This district must hold leadership accountable before this pattern of negligence leads to further harm. Thank you.
Next is Rosemary Jacob.
Okay. President Pantera, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Corson, Cabinet, and our PVUSD community, good evening. My name is Rosemary Jacob. I'm a special education mentor, teacher here in our district with over 20 years of service to our PV students, and the co-chair of the Paradise Valley Education Association Prom Boutique. We are thrilled to invite you, each of you, to our 9th annual event, A Night in Paradise. For nearly a decade, this boutique has been a cornerstone of community support. To date, we have helped over 900 students shine, and this year we're taking the magic even further. Our goal is to break the 1,000 student mark. Prom shouldn't come with a daunting price tag. We're providing a high-style, low-cost alternative that encourages our students to shop smart and sparkle bright. By offering dream outfits, sharp suits, and accessories at zero cost, we ensure that every student can feel confident and celebrated without breaking the bank. So how can you help us reach that 1,000 mark? Well, visit us, experience the magic firsthand, join us at one of our 4 upcoming prom boutiques. You might have some flyers there, that way you have the dates on them. We kick off March 28th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Sweetwater Community School cafeteria. Of course, donations are always accepted. We are seeking gently used formal wear, accessories, and beauty products, gift cards, and salon services. And then, of course, spreading the word. Check out our Amazon wish list on the PVEA Facebook page or scan the QR codes on the flyers. And in closing, let's work together to make this the most sparkling prom season yet. We will follow up with detailed information via email, and we thank you for your continued support in helping our students thrive. We'll see you at the boutique. Thank you.
That concludes our call to the public. Next on the agenda is items for discussion, L1, consideration, or is that I1? Consideration of 2026-2027 Governing Board meeting dates. Dr. Corson.
Thank you, President Pantera, Governing Board members, Cabinet, and guests. We'll wait for the presentation to pop up. There we go. So the purpose of this presentation is to review the proposed 26-27 regular Governing Board meeting calendar and study session dates. This review is in accordance with Board Policy BE and Arizona Open Meeting Law, ensuring compliance and providing advance public notice of the meeting schedule. Please note that while we are reviewing both sets of dates, the Governing Board will only vote on regular meeting dates during the second read in April. This slide presents the full proposed schedule for the 26-27 Governing Board regular meeting and study session dates. The regular meetings are generally scheduled for Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. with the exception of June, where both meetings begin at 5 p.m. A key component of this draft is the inclusion of study sessions scheduled from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. on selected Thursdays. These sessions, particularly those front-loaded in the fall, address the Governing Board's interest in having more opportunities for deeper dives into topics before larger discussions come up for approval and consideration. They also act to complement and supplement months where only one regular meeting is held. This is particularly notable in the following months: In September, the month's single regular meeting on September 17th is supplemented by a study session on September 24th. Following the regular meeting on October 8th, a study session is scheduled for October 22nd. The regular meeting on November 5th is complemented by a study session on November 19th. And in February, we only have one regular meeting on February 11th, but there is a study session to follow on February 18th. So this calendar is up for governing board members' consideration, keeping in mind that you will only vote in April on the regular meetings, but I did want to show the study sessions that will complement those meetings. And happy to take any input and feedback regarding this calendar before we bring it back to the governing board for action next month.
Anyone like to make a comment, question? Mrs. Greenberg?
Yeah, I appreciate the thought that's gone into this, because I know I probably wasn't the only one, but I did ask that we have a larger discussion about this. My concern has been this year, while we thought one meeting a month was, going to be a viable way to go, I don't know that it's always proven that. I'm still a little concerned about, and I did express this to Dr. Corson, about relying on study sessions for some of this. I'm still not convinced that we don't need a second meeting in some of these months, just in terms of, I think if we, maybe looked back at this year or, whatever, in terms of the regular things that are likely coming to us, is this enough time? I appreciate, December, January with the holidays, November with the holidays, et cetera. But I'm just wondering if maybe, we look at adding in a couple more meetings. Not that, we're all dying to do that, but just, would that give us, there are more meetings, but let's face it, our meetings have been going long. So if we divide, one back into two, might that still be a better use of time? And because today it's great, we're not even at 8 yet. We're at discussion, but as I recall, last meeting we left more around 10, and we're trying to have discussion of items, and we're all getting a little cross-eyed at that point. So I just figuring out the balance, better balance.
Any other comments? Dr. Lim?
I think I probably sit in that same boat. I would rather have too many next year and pare it back to something like this schedule the following year than have these super late meetings. Like, while I can see that our study session ahead of this meeting has really reduced the amount of discussion we have to have, that's a one-off situation. I would like to have too many and then realize it's too much, then realize, like we've had with a couple meetings, where they just keep going and going because we have so many huge topics we need to spend a lot of time on. So I echo that, there are months like November where fitting two in seems nearly impossible, but there are months where trying to squeeze in a second seems like really the best use of everyone's time. So I would wholeheartedly agree with Ms. Greenberg on that.
Yeah,
Wani?
thank you. So I would echo a lot of what has already been said. Perhaps we look at adding a second regular governing board meeting in September and October. February is a short month, so maybe we leave it alone. And November being, holidays and et cetera, maybe one's okay there. So I don't know, just a suggestion, maybe we add in two more regular meetings, September, October, and see if that kind of feels like the right balance. And I would agree that I don't think the community members are too happy when they're trying to stay engaged, and people that have been here since, or principals and cabinet, and since whatever time this morning, and these earlier endings are, I think better for everybody all around. So I think that this would accomplish that for sure.
And personally, I don't care what the schedule is in 2027, okay? So you have as many as you want in that time.
So I'm hearing the suggestion, President Pantera, that the consideration of adding a regular governing board member meeting in September and also October, and I'm seeing some nods of heads. Does that seem to be the request for the governing board?
I guess, yeah. I see heads nodding, so it seems like a good deal there.
All right.
Yeah,
so
but that
we'll-
is 2026, Tony,
That
so
is
you have to.
2026, President Pantera.
I'm not going to buck the line here. It's fine.
I'm happy to bring that adjustment back in April for governing board consideration.
Before we adjourn, I would like to remind everyone that our next governing board meeting will be held on Thursday, April 9th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We adjourned.